I'm not going to sugarcoat it, folks. The elections that were held yesterday were illegal. The polls went down in Pennsylvania, the poll pads. The voting machines stopped working in Ohio and in New Jersey in one county, and bomb threats were called into districts also in New Jersey. That means that Republican voters were blocked from voting. That means that Americans were disenfranchised, to use one of the Democrats' favorite words. Where are the federal officials? Why is America's entire election system allowed to continue as a fraud committed against the American people? And yes, we already know it's a fraud from many obvious reasons. You know this because Jason Miyares had a significant polling lead just 24 hours before the election yesterday, and it disappeared in a fraud curve that we're all familiar with because we saw it before in 2020. It was so bad even that mail-in ballot master Scott Presler had to warn everyone that the machines went down in red districts. Of course, they were red in the state of New Jersey. You know it's bad, folks, when even Scott Presler notices the fraud. Now, Milo pointed out on Twitter X that Scott Presler does not actually deliver victories, but mostly excuses. So true. There's no evidence that Presler or Turning Point Action really deliver GOP victories. Why? Well, because the push for early voting is just another scam. Early voting is part of the problem. You cannot early vote your way out of rigged elections. The people who told you that early voting worked were not election security experts. They were scammers who like to take selfies, and lots of them. And a lot of the money they made from gullible GOP donors was paid out to MAGA influencers to be their cheerleaders for their scam. While the neocons like Mark Levin and Josh Hammer and Ben Shapiro spent the last few weeks telling you that Tucker Carlson was the biggest problem in American politics, the GOP got wiped out in Virginia and Pennsylvania and New Jersey by the rigged voting machines. That's not an accident. That is by design. None of these people care about fair elections because none of these people care about America. We must have in-person voting on paper ballots conducted on one single day and hand counted. Everything else is a scam, and that's the absolute truth.